killed Big John that day. I found a big scrape.
Yep.
And my buddy Brandon just shot a buck about 700-800 yards down the fence. It was a club, heavy, 10-point, but short time. And it was my turn, like I said.
My turn.
We walked up on this huge scrape. It was nearly as big as this room.
Wow.
And
Territorial scrape.
A live oak tree about 5-6 inches in diameter, just mauled, just bushy at both ends. I mean, I knew, and I looked in that scrape, and there was a piss puddle. And
Fresh.
2 little old Susie Q stamps and a sprinkle of pellets. I looked at him and I said, "Damn, right here." And it was raining off and on, pretty heavy intermittent drizzle, and we had ponchos then. That's how we stayed dry. We'd wear them Mexican ponchos. You get your arms out the short side, and keep the gun under it to keep the scope from watering up, and beat the bone. The low, what looked like a 5 or 6 point come under the fence. You could just, as we sat down, I realized I could see the fence in breaks. And so this little buck comes under the fence immediately, and he runs down there, pedals down there, and smells the ground. He knew there was a little scrape right there, and he smelled the ground for a sign, threw his head up and starts looking around. Well, I popped the horns again, and when I did, he got a little nervous about it. It shook him up. And then he threw his head over this way and saw Big John in midair. When I looked where he was looking, I saw John in midair clearing the fence. I knew first thought I had, I was looking at the typical side and all that weight and all. My favorite buck of all time has always been the Jordan buck. And that's what he looked like to me. Yeah. On those smaller body deer, that big mass.
Yeah.
And I went, Boone and Crockett. In my mind, I just heard the words, and he landed and pedaled up. His rack was so heavy, he waddled up to that spot. Of course, that little buck just took off. He didn't want nothing to do with John. He was like, oh, shit. He just took off. John pedaled right up to that same spot where he had stood, smelled the ground too. And then when he raised up, I got to witness the most awesome display of power in a big buck I've ever seen.